The fire still smoldered as dawn crept over the ruins. Charred wood, twisted metal, and the faint smell of smoke filled the air. Firefighter Ethan Cole stood among the wreckage, helmet in hand, eyes heavy with exhaustion. He'd seen plenty of fires in his 12 years on the job, but this one was different. Because just as he turned to leave, he heard it, a faint whimper from behind a collapsed beam. "Hold up," Ethan called to his team. He knelt, pushing aside ash and debris until he found it, a trembling stray dog, fur singed, eyes wide with fear. "Easy, boy," Ethan whispered, wrapping the animal in his jacket. The dog licked his soot-covered hand weakly, tail twitching once. Ethan smiled. "You're a fighter, huh? Just like me." What Ethan didn't know was that saving that dog would be the start of something that would change both their lives forever. Before we begin, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And tell me, where are you watching from tonight? I love seeing how far these stories travel. Now, let's go back to that morning when the firefighter brought home an unexpected guest. Ethan lived alone in a small house on the edge of town. His wife, Maya, had passed away 2 years earlier, and since then, the house had been as quiet as a tomb. When he carried the dog inside, setting him gently by the fire, something stirred in that silence. The dog whimpered softly, curling up against the warmth. "Guess you could use a name," Ethan muttered. He thought for a moment, then smiled. "How about Ash? Fits you, doesn't it?" Ash wagged his tail weakly, and for the first time in months, Ethan laughed. Days passed. Ethan fed Ash, bathed him, and treated his burns. Slowly, the dog's fur grew back, his spirit returning with every wag of his tail. But something strange began happening. Every night, just as Ethan went to bed, Ash would scratch at the door, whining, pacing, desperate to get out. "Where are you trying to go, buddy?" he sighed. He tried ignoring it for a few nights, but the dog's behavior grew stranger. He'd sit by the window, staring into the dark woods beyond the yard, ears pricked, as if waiting for someone who never came. One stormy night, Ethan awoke to Ash barking wildly. The dog had clawed open the back door and vanished into the rain. He grabbed his flashlight and jacket. "Ash!" he shouted, running through the mud. The storm roared around him, wind whipping through the trees. Then he saw it, a flicker of movement near the edge of the forest. Ash was standing by an old, burnt-down cabin, barking furiously. Ethan approached cautiously. The cabin looked abandoned, blackened beams and half-collapsed walls. "What is it, boy?" Ash darted inside. Ethan followed and froze. In the corner, hidden under broken boards, lay a child's shoe, half melted by fire. Next to it, a small silver locket. He picked it up. Inside was a picture, a woman and a little girl smiling. The dog whimpered, curling beside the locket. Ethan's breath caught. "This was your home," he whispered. Back at his house, Ethan cleaned the locket, staring at the faces. The resemblance between the woman and Ash's reaction was undeniable. This dog hadn't just survived a fire, he'd lost his family in one. And somehow, he'd found his way to Ethan, another soul who'd lost everything to the flames. The next week, Ethan became obsessed. He looked up old reports, fire records, anything connected to that burned cabin. Finally, he found it. Forest fire claims mother and daughter. Cause, unknown. Pet, missing. The names hit him hard. Clara and Lily Jennings. Ash belonged to a little girl. Ethan drove to the address listed in the report. The property was abandoned, but an elderly neighbor still lived next door. "You knew the Jennings family?" Ethan asked gently. The woman nodded, sadly. "Sweet people. That little girl loved her dog more than anything. He ran into the woods the night of the fire. We all thought he died. She looked at Ash, tears welling in her eyes. "You found him?" Ethan nodded. "Or maybe he found me." That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He sat by the fire, Ash curled at his feet. "You know, buddy, I used to think saving people was all that mattered. But ever since Maya, I stopped believing in second chances." Ash lifted his head and pressed it against Ethan's knee. "Maybe you're here to remind me that even after everything burns, something good can still rise from the ashes." A few days later, Ethan got a call about another fire, a gas explosion at an old apartment building. He and his team rushed to the scene, flames roaring against the sky. As Ethan fought through the smoke, memories of his own loss flooded back, but he pushed on. Somewhere inside, someone was trapped. He kicked down a door and found a woman and her teenage son huddled under a table. "I've got you," he shouted, leading them out. Minutes later, the building collapsed behind him. Ethan barely escaped, his body ached, lungs burning, but both victims were safe. When he returned home that night, bruised and weary, Ash was waiting at the door, tail wagging. "You should have seen it, boy," he said with a tired smile. "We made it." Ash barked once, then padded to the corner of the room. There, beside Maya's framed photo, lay the locket. Ethan hadn't noticed before, but now it gleamed faintly in the firelight, as if placed there deliberately. He picked it up, whispering, "You were their family, weren't you? And now, you're mine." From that night on, Ash never scratched at the door again. Weeks passed. Ethan and Ash became inseparable. They visited schools, spoke at fire safety events, even helped kids overcome their fear of sirens. Ash became the station's unofficial mascot, his story inspiring firefighters and families across town. And though Ethan still missed Maya, the house didn't feel empty anymore. Every time he looked at Ash, he saw proof that love, real love, never truly dies in the fire. One morning, Ethan visited the old Jennings site again. He placed flowers near the ruins and whispered, "He's safe now. I'll take it from here." Ash sat beside him, tail brushing softly against Ethan's leg. The wind carried the scent of pine and something warm, like peace. As the camera fades out, Ethan's voice narrates over the quiet hum of morning. "Sometimes the ones we save come back to save us. And sometimes what survives the fire isn't just life, it's purpose."